Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kathy Neifeld with Agency One, and I am delighted to introduce to you Robert Strauss, who is the founder and CEO of RePredict. And Robert is going to discuss during this webinar the RePredict software and how it can help you with illustrations and spreadsheets. We are bringing you this webinar for a variety of reasons, including the fact that Robert was scheduled to be a featured speaker at the advanced markets meeting that was hosted by Agency One and BSMG and BUA last month. But unfortunately, Robert was not feeling well and he could not attend. So Robert was very insistent upon us having this webinar so he could introduce this technology to you. Robert is a finance and insurance and technology inventor and entrepreneur and co-founder of RePredict Corporation and Next Solutions. The RePredict is a patented software solution using AI to analyze and predict life insurance policy performance. NextPoint is a consulting firm and designer of many life insurance products and strategies, including the industry's earliest exit strategy premium financing program. Bob is a featured speaker in the industry, has a stellar educational background from the Wharton School of Finance, and he's also a JD. So Bob is a little bit dangerous in a really good way. So without further ado, I am going to turn this over to Bob. If anybody has any questions, please type them into the chat and we will address them as quickly as we can. So Bob, take it away. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Again, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it to the conference. It sounded like a wonderful event and something I was really looking forward to. But thank you, everybody, for being here today. I do appreciate your time. I'd like to walk you through this solution to predicting um, uh, various scenarios that will, I believe, help you. That will help you plan quicker. It will help you at point of sale. It will help you with policy review. Basically, I designed it for myself. As Gonzalo knows, I've been in the advanced planning market for decades now, too long to really admit to. And I think the first time I spoke on an advanced concept, it was premium financing. Gonzalo, I believe it was at BICIS about 20,
I was at
25 years
BICIS,
ago.
yeah. I was,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So really, I created this solution for myself initially, but decided to make it available to everybody on a subscription basis. It's not very expensive, but it helps me, so hopefully it'll help you as well. But basically, what you're looking at now is the homepage, which is repredict.ai, and this is prediction software that is designed to just speed up the process of getting information at your fingertips when you need it. And I'll give you very specific examples of that in a second. But basically, it's kind of like facial recognition software. That's the idea behind this. But instead of recognizing facial patterns, it's really recognizing number patterns. So you can import really any table of numbers into RePredict. It could be an illustration. It could be your own custom designed spreadsheet. It really could be any product whatsoever. It works with life insurance, whole life, UL, variable. It'll even work with long-term care or disability insurance or annuities. It really doesn't matter where the numbers come from because like facial recognition software, it's just going to be looking for the patterns of numbers and then the relationships between those numbers from one column to another so that it can create alternative scenarios really, really quickly. And so you may wonder, well, what is the advantage of creating these alternative scenarios really quickly? Well, speed is really the critical thing here because it will just allow you to do your planning or your sales presentations that much faster and answer questions right on the spot. And you'll see that's a big difference when you don't have to go back to your illustration software and run numbers and schedule new appointments. Um, we were fortunate enough to have a patent granted about a year ago. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can always download that patent if you're having a hard time sleeping at night. So now what I'm going to do is log in.
Hey Bob, before you, but I know you want to jump into this, and I think it's awesome because I've seen it and I'm super psyched to see it again. But so just a question for you, why? Like, what was your why as you were thinking about artificial intelligence and as you were thinking about all the things that you do on and have done for years and years on a daily basis? Like, why this and why now?
Yeah, I think that the basic thing is that time kills sales. That was the basic premise here. And so imagine if you could be sitting there in front of a client and they say, "Well, what if I want a different death benefit at life expectancy? What if I want to solve for a different retirement income?" Or these are all questions that we get on appointments, but normally what we have to do is say, "Yeah, well, we'll get you that answer. Let's set up another appointment." You literally, this is so quick because of AI that you can answer these questions on the spot. And we actually had one individual tell me, an advisor, say that he closed a $2 million premium financing deal where he met with the client, the accountant, and the attorney and got a commitment in a single appointment, which has never happened to him before, simply because they wanted to see so many variations of it. And they were able to do that and come to a decision right then and there versus having this drag out for months.
That's
And
great.
yeah, time kills deals. So that's been my experience in the industry. And so hopefully, it'll serve that purpose, but it also has other applications as well. I mean, that was the initial motivation, I think, for me. But what I found also is that when you're doing planning for people, whether you're using Insmark or your own software, often you need illustrations in the planning process and you want to make changes to those illustrations. Oh, I want to zero out the estate. I'll need a different death benefit, for example. And instead of going back and ordering a new illustration from your illustration desk or maybe running it yourself, which takes time, now literally you can get that data with a click of a button, and you can even transfer it directly from RePredict into Insmark if you're an Insmark user,
Yep.
or you can export it to a CSV and import it into whatever it is you're using. And then finally, for policy review purposes, for the same reason that we can make predictions from any illustration, you can import an illustration that you sold 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and I've done that, and then update the cash value or to whatever the current account value is based on the statement that you have, and then predict future numbers from there very, very accurately. But more importantly, you're using the same assumptions as the original as sold illustration. So it allows you a different perspective than an inforce. An inforce is going to change the assumptions and often provide a very conservative estimate, which is fine. You can show the inforce as well, but sometimes a client doesn't necessarily want to change the assumptions of the original compliant illustration. They just want to know how they're doing.
Yeah,
And so this can provide those answers as well. So I would say for those reasons, for point of sale, for planning efficiency purposes, for policy review, this is just really helpful for me. I use it all the time.
that's
So
great. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
sure. So
Excited
with
to see it.
Yeah, so with that, I'm going to run through a bunch of different scenarios, and I think the important thing today is just to follow along with what I'm doing to try to understand the applications here, without trying to figure out exactly or memorize how to do it. Because if you decide to move forward, you can always go to RePredict and click on the pricing page and subscribe, and we'll naturally onboard you anyway. We're going to onboard you and we'll spend as much time as it takes to get you up to speed. It's extremely easy to use. We designed it even though it looks like a spreadsheet, you don't have to know any Excel formulas, any code. It is completely point and click. So very, very, very simple. Let's start with a really simple scenario here. Maybe what we'll do is take an Allianz illustration, and again, it doesn't matter what the carrier is. I'll I'll give you three different examples today using Allianz National Life and Pac Life, but it also works with whole life insurance or anything else. And in this particular illustration that I ran, that is going to serve as the basis for our predictions, we've got a male 45 that is spending $100,000 a year for 10 years. As you can see here, this is kind of a LERP design, tax-free retirement income. He's taking income at age 66 here, $231,000 a year of income, and the rest is fairly self-explanatory. So now I'm going to import this directly into RePredict by clicking on the Import Data button, and we can actually import the PDF directly. We don't actually have to extract the numbers manually. So you can see here the thumbnail of the PDF. I'm going to open that and upload that PDF right into RePredict, and there it is. So once the numbers are in RePredict, we can, if we want to, we can delete columns or add or insert new columns and copy and paste from different pages of the illustration. It really doesn't matter. It's really up to you what columns or how many columns you want to use as the basis for your prediction. In this example, let's maybe get rid of total charges, and maybe we'll get rid of rows beyond age 100 just to show you that you can. And then once we have it the way we want it, we can then click the Analyze Data button. And this is where it's going to analyze the number patterns, the nonlinear trend lines, and also use some mathematical algorithms that we created to try to define the relationships between the columns within the rules of insurance. So basically, it's a combination of AI and mathematical algorithms. We then click on the Start Prediction button. And now we're ready to create some variations. Now, any variations we create are going to be based on the same assumptions as the original illustration that we imported. So whatever the mech avoidance test was, if it's GPT, it's going to stay GPT versus CVAT. If you use term blend, it's going to use term blend. If you whatever crediting rate you use, it's going to use the same crediting rate. So the assumptions are going to be the same. You can't necessarily turn a GPT illustration into a CVAT illustration. If you want to make material changes like that, I suggest you run two illustrations and import both of them into RePredict, and then you can create variations of each. But for now, let's just stick with what we have here. And it's very simple to create a new illustration, or a new prediction, I should call it, to be more accurate. All you have to do is highlight the columns that you'd like to change, mark them as dependent, and that turns them blue. Anything that you change in the blue area is going to change everything else. So, for example, if I want to change the death benefit, maybe I'm doing some planning and I know he needs $3 million of death benefit at, let's say, life expectancy age 85. And in the original illustration, I've got $1,975,000. I can then change that to 3 million and then click the Predict All button, and I have a new illustration literally in milliseconds. I don't have to go back to the carrier software to do that. Now, it's going to be pretty accurate, and I will, show you the accuracy in a second, but I want to run through a few predictions first. Let's name this tab here so we can come back to it. Let's call that 3 million dB at 85. Okay, let's do another prediction. We'll just click the Start Prediction button again. Now maybe we're sitting down in front of a client and the client says, I don't think I can retire on 231,000 of income. Maybe I need 300,000 of retirement income. Again, instead of saying, yeah, let's set up another appointment and I'll have that ready for you. Now you could say, okay, well, let's highlight the columns we want to change. Mark that as dependent. You want 300,000 of retirement income? There you go. Click Predict All. You got a new illustration. Okay, well, I think I can afford 129,000. I was hoping on spending 100,000, but what happens if I have to skip a premium? Well, now you can actually layer a prediction on top of this prediction. We call that a reprediction, hence the name of the company, RePredict. So let's click the RePredict button. It's going to keep the premium where it was, but now we can mark this column as an input column and skip the premium that we want to skip and have that drive these other columns, which we're going to make dependent columns. Click RePredict All. And now we've got, again, a new illustration with a skip premium. Okay, so we can create as many variations as we want. in response to whoever it is we're talking to very, very quickly with an illustration or even with a complex spreadsheet like a premium financing spreadsheet or a split dollar spreadsheet. It really doesn't matter. And I'll give you some examples of spreadsheets in a second, just to give you an idea. But as you can see here, it doesn't take very long to make these variations. And if we check them for accuracy, let's say, for example, we want to check this one where we put in 151,895. Obviously, these are not compliant illustrations. These are predictions. So if you want to convert these into a compliant illustration, what you could do is click the Make Compliant button, and you could send this to your illustration desk. You could load the email addresses, as many as you want, into into our contact database here. And it will send an email with this text message, which you can modify. And it will also attach a copy of this prediction as a CSV file. And I would recommend you also attach the source illustration, which has all the input assumptions. So whoever is running the illustration can now create a new illustration that closely matches this prediction that is compliant. And that is obviously what you would use to sell. So think of this almost like a sandbox where you can create all kinds of what if scenarios for planning purposes, for sale purposes. But eventually, once you settle on where you're going and the prediction that you ultimately like, you want to turn that into a compliant illustration the way I said. Now, I've already done that for you. So let's look at some of these for accuracy. And let's see. Here's one that I put in the same premium with the same assumptions again. 151,895, 151,895. And as you can see, this generates 352,347 of income versus 352,117. Okay, so it's going to be a tiny bit different, but it's going to be certainly close enough to make some pretty good decisions. Let's go look and see what the death benefit is at, let's say, age 85, because we were trying to get $3 million of death benefit, if you recall. And the actual illustration generated 3,001,556. Pretty close. Let's go to another example. Let's say this is the one that he would like to settle on, $129,000 a year in order to create 300,000 of income. So if we run this with Allianz, does 129,412 actually create 300,000 of income? And if we go here, you could see 129,000 generates 300,129. And again, all the other numbers should be just as accurate. If we look at age 85, death benefit 2,556,000 versus death benefit of 2,556,000. Cash value 1,938,000, cash value 1,938,000, and so forth. Even if we skip a premium like this, if I run the skip premium, I get a prediction of about 269,000 of income. And if I were to actually run it with Allianz and skip a premium like I did here, do we get 269,000? Yeah, pretty close. Okay, so you get the idea. And I'll show you as we work with some other numbers how accurate they are as well with different carriers also. Also, keep in mind that you could do a few other things very, very quickly with this. You could create, for example, a comparison page. Let's say that you wanted to see this prediction side by side with the original. You could click the Add button, create a comparison page, and select the original data and the prediction that you want to compare this with, and highlight the columns that you want to show graphs to. It'll automatically create graphs for you, for example. And then also throw in whatever other columns you want for reference, age, year, premium. Click the compare button, and there's your side-by-side comparison table, just like that. So now over here on the left side is the original illustration. On the right side is what the client thinks they want to buy because they wanted to solve for $300,000 of income. And if you keep scrolling down, you can see that it automatically graphs them out. So here's the difference in income in any given year, 231 versus 300. Here's the difference in cash value if you hover over any given year. And here's the difference in death benefit. And you can see that the predictions are following the number patterns of the original as well. And that's why it's quite accurate.
Hey Bob. Hey Bob,
Yeah,
we have a question
sure.
from Mr. Thaler. Thank you, Steve. The question is, since you use the original presumptions, but after several years those presumptions were not accurate with reality, can you add in current data to get a prediction?
It's a great question. So that's kind of what we do for policy review purposes. So let's go back to the predict tab, and let's just pretend that we sold this 5 years ago. Okay, and as it turns out, we don't have 462,000 of cash value. We have 390,000 of cash value. So what we can do is we can, let's say the account statement says 390,000. We could import that old as sold illustration from 5 years ago into here, highlight the columns that we want to change. Notice that I'm not going to change the premium column now because that's not changing, but I want to update the cash value to what it currently is, which is 390,000. And then I want to click the predict forward button because this has already happened in the past. We just want to predict the numbers forward. And now I'm on pace for 195,000. Now keep in mind, this is assuming the same assumptions as the original. So if the original was run at 6.4% crediting, this is also going to be run at 6.4% crediting, updated for what your current account value is. You can change the crediting rate as well if you want to. So to do that, you would go basically to the edit page here, and you would add a crediting rate column. So let's call this crediting rate. And you have to tell it what the original crediting rate was. Let's say that was run at 6.41%. And then you have to click the Analyze Data button so it learns that this was run at 6.41%, the original. And once you do that, you can actually change the crediting rate. So let's say you want to see what this would look like at 5.8% because maybe today it's not doing as well. Okay, so you could do that and you could highlight the columns you want to change, mark those as dependent, and then click predict all, and it will, sorry about that. Um, did I change the crediting rate? I might not have changed it. Let's do that again. Oh yeah, I forgot to change the crediting rate here. So let's change the crediting rate to 5.8. Did I do that? Should work. I don't know why it's glitching out, but well, you should be able to change the crediting rate to a lower crediting rate, and I'll figure that out for you afterwards. But you can't change it to a higher crediting rate. You can change it to a lower one, but not a higher one. So let's move on from there. Any other questions, Kathy, that you wanted me to answer?
Yeah, we do. We have another one. Thank you. Greg Roman said, let's say the carrier has increased the COI charges and we have the new charges. Can we add that as a column?
Yeah, so you could add, again, you would do that on the edit page, and you would add those charges on the edit page. Again, you would want to teach the original charges to it by adding it to the edit page and clicking Analyze Data, and then you could change those charges.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's look at some other examples here where we perhaps pull in a spreadsheet. I'm going to open up a new tab here. And let's look at a premium financing design. This is one that I use a lot where we have basically an early exit strategy. And we've got 7 premiums of $1 million a year with National Life here. We're going to finance all of those premiums. I'm assuming interest rates are 6.1 now, and hopefully headed down a little bit. You can see here that we've got our interest column over here in column 6. And you've got collateral over here in column 9. And we also have this column over here, which is principal payments. What I like to do in our premium financing design is kind of levelize the interest payments. So we pay a little bit more during the first 5 years when you have the highest surrender charges and a little bit less later on. And what that does is it reduces your collateral because these payments are going to be principal payments rather than interest payments. So it reduces the collateral gap. In any event, what we can do is import this entire spreadsheet right into RePredict, and we can make some changes to it. So let's see if we can find that. That was National Life, and that was. Okay. So now that we have it in RePredict, the first thing we want to do is click Analyze Data to analyze, teach the AI what the number patterns are, and then click Start Prediction. And now we can start making some changes to this pretty quickly. So, for example, let's say that you're sitting down with the accountant and the attorney, and, you know, and they're looking at this and they're saying, okay, well, at age 90, um, we really need like $15 million of death benefit. So could you rerun the entire spreadsheet with $15 million of death benefit? So again, you would just highlight the columns that you want to change, mark those as dependent, scroll down to age 90, which is what they wanted up here, make that 15 million, and then click Predict All. And again, it will just figure out what the new premium should be, what the new distribution amount should be, what your interest payments are, what your new collateral should be, and so forth. So let's label that 15 million dB. Okay, let's do another prediction. Now, perhaps the accountant says, I don't really think we can come up with that much collateral. Let's limit the peak collateral to 250,000 and rework all the numbers based on a maximum collateral amount of 250,000. All right, so you again highlight the columns you want to change, mark those as dependent, change that collateral to 250,000 and click predict all. And now you've got your new premium and so forth, your new distribution amount. This is what would cost out of pocket, principal payments of 172,000. And you could keep going. I mean, if they wanted to change the principal payments, you could do that. You could change lots of different things if you wanted to. But let's go back to National Life and see how accurate this is. So if we put in 690,888 of premium into our National Life software and take out 4,836,000, what does that look like? So here's the 690,888, and we're going to take out 4,836,000. And let's just see what the death benefit is at, let's say, age 85, 9,363,000, age 85, 9,365,000. So you get pretty close numbers, but what's really interesting to me, is that we were able to create pretty accurate predictions using a column that was not even a column of the illustration, collateral, for example. Or you could change the interest payment and rework all the numbers. And obviously, you would never do this in front of a client, but this is exactly what that other advisor was doing in front of the CPA and the attorney, where they were exploring lots of different scenarios and getting very quick answers, so that they can, have an idea of what they wanted to actually see on a compliant illustration and finish up the process. Let's do another one because it doesn't have to be. I mean, I'm sure you have your own proprietary concepts as well. So let me open up one last one here. this is with Pac Life now, and this is kind of like an alternative to pension rescue. So instead of buying insurance in the plan, which is not always an easy thing to do, sometimes you have to amend the plan or create a new profit sharing plan. In this case, we're going to basically take distributions from the plan of let's say we've got $6 or $7 million in the plan, and we take $1 million a year distribution from the plan for 7 years. And each time we take a distribution, it's going to result in an income tax of, let's say, $400,000, which we will take out of the distribution. And so that leaves us with 600,000 to give to an islet. Now, so far, that sounds like simple pension maximization, right? But now let's say that the islet wants to supplement replenish the 400,000 that it lost to pay taxes. Well, the islet in this example is going to borrow $400,000 a year to get that premium back up from 600,000 to $1 million. So we've got kind of a partial pension rescue, partial premium financing strategy here. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on this strategy. I'm just showing you that it works with really any strategy. And so the idea here is that for a relatively small amount out of pocket, between 28,000 and 154,000 of interest payments, the client can turn, maybe $4 or $5 million that the heirs would have received after taxes into maybe $20 million after taxes. And so we can import that directly into RePredict. So now I just got to look for Pac Life. Here we go. And Horizon 2, I ran that with. And here is the spreadsheet that I just imported, which you just saw. So first thing I'm going to do, click Analyze Data. And now click Start Prediction. And now we're ready to create some variations. And again, I'll just do one quick one for you just to show you. Let's say, for example, that the client says, look, I really like this strategy, but I don't want to be out of pocket more than $100,000. I see that it starts at 28,000, which is very affordable, but it goes up to 154. Can you limit my out of pocket to 100,000 and rework all the numbers for me? Well, again, normally that would take you probably about an hour and a half to do. But here you can just highlight the columns, mark them as dependent, change the 154 to 100, and click Predict All. And you've got your new Pac Life numbers, as well as your new spreadsheet numbers, with updated collateral, updated interest payments, and so forth. So if we go back to Pac Life, click the Make Compliant button, whatever, and we have a new illustration, compliant illustration run with 649,351 with a distribution in year 11 of 1,818,000. Do we get numbers that resemble these numbers? That's really the question. So let's do that real quickly. All right, so I put in 649,351 of premium, and I took out in year 11 1,818,000. Why? Because that's what my prediction told me to do. And what do I get at, let's say, age 85, or any year that you want to look at? I really don't care. 14,242,000. And here we're getting 14,246,000. Again, the numbers are very close, especially when you consider that the value that we changed was interest, which was not even a column of the illustration. So it really allows you to just kind of arrive at some pretty quick answers to things. Another thing that you can do really quickly, let's say, for example, that you are creating, let's say you're transferring some of this data into InsMark, which you can do directly, by the way. So we have an integration with InsMark, and if you own InsMark, and you can on the fly just transfer right into your Wealthy and Wise module or whatever module you want and start using this in InsMark, or you could export this to a CSV file and you can import it into any software that you use, including your own spreadsheet. But another thing that you can do is you can actually use our AI whiteboard to answer questions that people have. So, for example, let's say that you wanted to, um, take the original Pack Life illustration here, and let's say that you want to have the AI compose an email explaining all of the available crediting strategies. You could do that. It'll take a few seconds because it's a 43-page illustration, but it'll do that for you in about 2 seconds. Just give it a second.
Hey, Bob, so while your technology is making chicken soup here,
There it is.
this
Yeah.
is very cool. We've got some questions that have come in
Okay.
regarding how do they access, what does it cost, how often is it
Sure.
updated? You've got, uh, as we were watching you make the chicken soup, for my words, we saw all these carriers that you do have available. How often is it updated behind the scene, and then when is it updated front of house, and all of, so when, let's make sure we leave some time for all of that.
Okay.
uh,
So first question was, how much does it cost and how do you sign up? So again, all you have to do is go to the homepage, repredict.ai, click on the pricing button. It'll take you to the subscription page here. And we've got really two paid versions. The professional version is a good value for light users. These are mostly for people that are doing this for policy review purposes. If you're a heavier user and you want more than 100 predictions a month, and keep in mind that we probably did a dozen predictions just today. So you do kind of go through predictions fairly quickly. But if you're a light user, this is great, good value. For the heavier users and those who want to use all the advanced features, including the ability to layer predictions on top of one another, and get more hands-on support, which this comes with, then that would be $2.99 a month. You sign up monthly, you can cancel at any time you want. So if you're not satisfied for any reason, just go into your account page and cancel. To answer your other question, Kathy, how often do we update? Well, we don't really need to update. We often update to add features or to improve accuracy. We do that often. One of the features that we just added, for example, is the ability to create a like an IRR column here, on the fly. And so we just added that this week. When we update a feature or we improve the accuracy, what we're doing is happening on our server. So you don't need to download any new software. It's just automatically going to be live. Now, you may need to know that it's there, and we'll try to inform you. And of course, you can always schedule a training session if you're not sure how to use a new feature. But the beauty of this approach, this kind of pattern recognition approach, is that we don't need carrier feeds. So it literally works with any product of any carrier. It doesn't matter if we're even aware of who that carrier is or not, or whether that product came out or was modified this morning. I mean, I remember when the Horizon 2 product came out, we were literally making accurate predictions literally the minute that it was available to producers. Or it doesn't matter if it's a 10-year-old product that's not even available anymore and you can no longer illustrate. Or maybe a competitor's product where you don't have access to their software, maybe Northwestern or something of that nature where you don't have access to their software, you can still make predictions based on that.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Any other?
We have another question that came in. What's the learning curve on this? It looks like a few 3-credit courses. I assume a good working knowledge of Excel would help.
You don't need any working knowledge of Excel. So that's all, it's all point and click. So you literally find the illustration that you want to import and you import it directly into here. And again, I can show you how to do that, or you can click on the Help Center and you can ask, how do I import or whatever your question is, and getting data into RePredict. And we show you with screenshots how to do that. But again, you're more than welcome to Slack me if you have any questions, or ask the AI chatbot here. Um, you know, maybe you're trying to figure out what's the difference between a green input column. When do I use an input column, for example? Okay, so you could just ask our AI chat, and it's pretty well versed and well trained, and it can give you some really, really good answers right away. But again, you can always Slack me. Once you subscribe to any paid plan, I'll invite you to Slack, and we make it really, really easy to work with us. And if I can't answer your question in Slack, I'll invite you to a webinar and we'll figure it out. But as far as using this is concerned, it's so easy to use. I can't even tell you. It looks like there's more to it, but it's pretty easy. It's pretty much select the columns you want to change the number that you want to change, and click predict all or repredict all, and it's pretty simple. There are some more advanced things that you can learn over time, but it's pretty easy, and we'll take the time to show them to you.
Thank you. Let me see. No. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to type them in. Bob, this has been great, and I'm getting side text saying that this technology is amazing. And again, how do we get it? What do we have? Okay. This we cannot thank you enough for sharing with you this with us. Sorry.
Sure. You know what? Let me offer everybody 25% off the first 3 months. If they want to try this out, what they would do is go back to this page, and any paid subscription, when you sign up, use the coupon code EARLYBIRD25, all caps, no spaces, EARLYBIRD25, and you'll get 25% off the first 3 months. And again, if you're not satisfied, you can always cancel.
And Bob, I hate to ask a question that I don't know the answer to, but on behalf of Agency One and our attendees and everyone that's been impressed, I see there's a free trial for 30 days. So that 25% off is going to be on the following 3 months. So they get the first month for 0 and then the 25.
Well, the 25% off is for the people that know they want to move forward. So or they can do the free trial and just check it out. Now, keep in mind, the free trial is equivalent to the professional version. So there may be a few features that they don't have access to.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Kathy, there's a couple other questions. You want to hit those? You want me to read them for you?
I got them.
Okay.
So does it work in reverse with WAW?
Wealthy and Wise.
Wealthy and Wise. Got it.
Yeah. So Wealthy and Wise has RePredict buttons in it. So you can go back and forth very quickly from Wealthy and Wise or from whatever module in InSmart directly into your RePredict account. It will log you right into your RePredict account. And so you can go back and forth, but the data doesn't transfer from InSmart to RePredict. The data transfers only from RePredict to InSmart.
Terrific. Thank you. The next question is from Drew. Does this program have the ability to take a no lapse guarantee product and figure out the best way to structure a premium schedule? For example, a $100,000 10-pay for a $5 million death benefit, no lapse to age 100. If we input that data, would the program be able to figure out a better way to reduce that total premium over the same pay period or a different pay period?
I mean, I would say that would not be a good use of this. You probably could get some general numbers by changing multiple premiums, but the more changes that you make, the less accurate it is. So if you're going to be changing getting rid of 25 premiums, you're going to lose a lot of accuracy. So what I tell people is if you're making material changes like that, you'll need a second illustration. This is more to make variations of a design that you're basically satisfied with.
Drew, I hope that answered your question. Okay. We are at, where are we? It is 12:46.
Okay.
So if anybody has any other questions, please type them in the chat. Bob, this has been great. And I don't know if it was a blessing or not that you could not make it to the meeting, because we really got into a deep dive here, and you would not have had
That's true.
the stage time at the meeting to give a detailed demonstration like this. So we thank you for your time after the fact.
Yeah, and if anybody would like, a private demo, just go to repredict.ai and click schedule demo, and that's my Calendly link, basically.
That's great.
Yeah, I was wondering. I would think that for some offices, that would be really wonderful.
Yeah, we can work that out.
I just like to throw in one comment. I mean, this just shows, after spending 3 hours in our AI workshop at our conference, I mean, this just really begins to highlight the power, or how powerful it is to capture the power of AI. What you've built here is mind-boggling, because it also is so it's so directionally accurate with the actual compliance illustrations. So well done, Bob, and thank you for sharing this.
Thank you, Gonzalo. And thank you, Kathy. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Again, so sorry I couldn't make it to the conference. Sounds like it was a lot of fun, but maybe next year.
Bob, we have another request for the coupon code.
Early bird 25, all capital letters, no spaces, Julianne.
Correct.
And I would be remiss if I let everyone go without reminding everyone that Agency One has a very healthy list of webinars that we are hosting on behalf of our carrier partners and other companies that have interesting products and solutions to share with our Agency One advisors. Lisa, if you could come online, I don't have the schedule in front of me. You're all going to be getting invitations for these webinars, and you could hit a registration link through one invitation to register for a number of the webinars. Lisa, could you help me out here if you can and mention some of the upcoming dates, please? I don't know if she can do it.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay, great, thanks. Yes, we've got some great ones coming up, kicked off by Mr. Strauss here. On the 3rd, we have Life Insurance Opportunities and Strategies for Foreign Nationals, and that's hosted by Prudential. Vincent Pina, who's the Director of Advanced Planning for Prudential. That's on the 3rd at noon. And then on the 12th at noon, we've got Symetra, Unique Guaranteed Issue Multi-Life Program. And the speaker there is Doug Bowden, who is the Director of Advanced Markets for Symetra. The 24th, we've got nationwide, why affluent clients need LTC, how to internally split a 1035 exchange for better results. And that's going to be hosted by Sean Britt, who is a wealth of information about long-term care initiatives, et cetera. And then on June 26th, we're going to have Rick Buteau, who was also at the annual meeting, and I guess due to time was unable to really, share his presentation. And essentially, it's about unlocking everyday efficiency, how to use AI for marketing, communication, and more. So that will be they'll all be great to attend. So watch for the regular updates that we're sending out, and you can register for all of them, any one of them, whatever works for your schedule. And again, everything will be recorded, and all of the recordings will be available on the Agency One website under the Sales and Marketing tab. So there you go. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa. Hey, Robert, can we just confirm that discount code is working? Because one of the attendees just texted that it wasn't working.
I'll tell you what, I will test it after we hang up and shoot you an email. And if I have to create a new code, I'll give you the new code. And anybody who's interested, you could just provide them with the new code.
we will circulate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it might have expired. I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay. That's a good thing, Robert. We've got people that want to put the code in right now.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take care of that. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kathy and Lisa and Gonzalo. Really
Thank you.
enjoyed being here today.
Robert, thank you very much. On behalf of Agency One, thank you for your attendance. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to Gonzalo or myself. We are here to make this easy and to bring you things that hopefully you have not seen before. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Robert.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thanks. Bye.